Were you playing goalie?
That wasn't the reason.
Did you let 10 goals?
No. I blame one of them on me, but I didn't pick up my man. I lost my my mark.
Okay. Well, so we're blaming the other 9 on your trash goalie?
No, he's great. He's great.
So it's the defenders? The wings, they call them, I think?
Wings, they call them? Okay.
I don't know.
Indoor is a much more fluid game.
So
I mean, it's like basketball. It's 5 and a goalie in our league at least. So it's very much like basketball.
I've explained to Erica before that the best teams play offense and defense, and it doesn't sound like you're playing defense.
And not much offense, to be honest. We have a whole team of defenders and midfielders.
Okay.
And then when we get a guy who can play good or decent offense, they often leave the team after a little while.
So what you're saying is that if I'm the other team, I don't want to go anywhere near your midfield. Like, that's where you guys excel.
You'd think that.
Fair enough.
He didn't say they were good midfielders or defenders. He just said they were midfielders.
The entire team is midfielders, not necessarily good.
No, we do actually. Most of our games by indoor soccer standards are very low scoring. Generally, today was an exception. Most of them are pretty low scoring, and most of them are within 1 or 2 goals. They qualify by our league's definition as crunch time games.
Have you ever seen those like Mickey Mouse gloves with the real big hands?
Yeah.
Can we get that for your trash goalie?
He's not trash.
Shout out to him. Does he listen to the show?
I don't know. I don't think so.
He's trash. Then he's trash.
he's a fantastic goalie, and he's like, I don't know, 6'4" maybe, and he's a big dude, gets down good, and just plugs up the goal. And if you come in trying to score, if you come in like the crease, there's only one winner, and it's always him.
Except 9 times.
No, I mean from like bodily harm, not the goal. Sometimes people score. If you run into him.
All I'm saying, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know my address. He's trash.
He did live in Chicago for a period of time, and he does like the Bulls.
Yeah. Flawed human. Bad goalie.
But he watches a lot of basketball, and he loves the Pacers too.
Slight redeeming quality. Tell him to get the bigger gloves.
His hands are bigger than my hands with gloves. I think he's good.
I mean, he's mediocre at best.
Just back off my keeper. Let's do a second.
10 goals, man. Did you guys play without the? Did you is it like hockey where you just don't go with the goalie? You just like played 5-on-4 or whatever.
Jason, I'm thinking, how much money would you pay to see Colton in goal for a whole game?
That's probably, I would pay more than for a finals ticket.
Do I get big gloves?
You get as big a glove as you want.
Okay. Can I wear a helmet?
No way.
I'm in.
Perfect. It's an over 30 league.
Is it? It's not over 45 because that's what I was looking for.
Well, effectively it is.
Okay.
For our team, but occasionally we play against guys that are.
Your goalie's 65, right?
Our goalie's 54.
Okay. Sounds like it. 10 goals. Jeez.
What's your deal? Let's talk about basketball.
Yeah, so just prepare to...
It'll be great.
It'll be perfect. Yeah, so just prepare to...
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
So just prepare to...
with them. That train is off the track.
I feel like you can't just like jump through Neptune and be okay.
Just prepare to.
What the show needs is more dogs and bears and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, so just prepare to be awash in unbeatable goodness.
Welcome, Pacers fans. You were listening to the Undebeatables, your semi-weekly Pacers podcast. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. This is episode 772. Coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm your host, Joey Gaffrida, the man behind the dials. This show, we're going to discuss Game 2 and preview Game 3 of the NBA Finals between your Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Joining me this show are two of our three analysts, coast to coast, like buttered toast. First, from the high school home of Jameson Brewer, Silver Spring, Maryland, it's the doctor, Jason Triplett.
What is up, Pacers fans? What is up, Undebeatables? Shout out to my sister celebrating a birthday today.
Shout out.
Shout out. Yeah, happy birthday to her. And my niece is officially a teenager now.
That is scary.
Mm-hmm. And unlike most young people, people were joking about her driving at a text thread, and she was very excited. And most of the young people I know have zero interest in driving. So,
Okay.
yeah.
There's a
But
redeeming quality for you.
She is zagging while her peers are zigging, I think.
She's going to be ready for the zombie apocalypse. It's good.
From Asheville, North Carolina, he's our in-house bartender, mixes up the drinks in the crappy jingles. It's John, the little ticket, Colson.
What is up, Pacer Nation? What is up, Undebeatables? Shout out to Joey's goalkeeper.
Oh, God. Marty is a king among men.
I'm sure, sparkling personality does not stop
That's wonderful.
balls going into the goal.
I would love to see you out there. There you go, Jason.
I ran here
Straight
for
on.
this. I plucked my eyebrows for this. What do you want?
Before we get into the show, we'll remind listeners that they can support us, the longest-running Pacers podcast, by heading over to patreon.com/undebeatables. You can support us for as little as $1 per month. My apologies to the new patrons. Your swag will be mailed out, I'm hoping, this weekend.
I got to get those koozies in time for Game 4, buddy.
Yeah. Yep. All right,
Overnight
guys.
that
So we got to talk about Game 2. After Game 1, we were all the things. We were riding high, feeling great. Took Game 1 on the road, and I'm going to come out and say it. OKC stole Game 2 from us. They did sort of dominate the play, winning. They were leading by 15 to 20-ish for huge chunks of the game. And every time we would make a push, they would re-extend it, relatively quickly. There was a spark of life, and they would extinguish it with prejudice. Final score 123-107, and that was the game Sunday night. So big games out of SGA, as you may expect, 34 points, and that includes 11 of 12 from the free throw line, which he really got more trips than he did the first game.
I don't want to steal your stat of the week, Joe, but he now currently has the most points in a finals debut in the first two games in the history of the NBA.
There's no way that was my stat.
Okay. More than Allen Iverson, more than Michael Jordan.
Really?
Yeah.
Jalen Williams, 19 points for him. And Chet Holmgren arrived at the NBA Finals, 15 points for him this game. But freaking Alex Caruso, 20 points off the bench, and Wiggins, 18. That was most of their bench production.
So many 3-pointers.
Yes. So
From
they shot
the
nearly
other
40%.
Wiggins.
Nearly 40% for 3, 14 of 36. Greatly improving from game 1. On the Pacers side, again, nobody hit 20 points, and we had 7 guys in double figures, with Tyrese Halliburton at 17 points as our top scorer. So, as I said, there was no miracle comeback. This was a game where, OKC kind of did more what they wanted to do. They played more bigs. They had Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein on the floor together more than they did game 1, and they took it to us. I think this is what people were expecting more. These were the expectations. Games would be closer to this, where the Pacers were pretty much out of reach. So that's where we are. Series is tied 1-1. The series heads back to Indy Wednesday night. The game 3 will tip off 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are. Jason, did you think that the Pacers made any good adjustments this game, or did OKC win the delta between games 1 and 2?
Well, I mean, you know the answer to that question. Of course they won the Delta. But, no, I thought much of the focus of the media has been on the lack of aggressiveness from Tyrese Halliburton. And I somewhat agree with that. Actually, I completely agree with that. He was not looking for his shot until it was way too late to be looking for his shot. But I thought generally the entire team was lacking aggression. In the first quarter, the Pacers came out and shot 21 shots, and 14 of those were three-pointers, many of which were not sort of, get 2 feet in the paint and then kick it out to get a good look like we were getting in game 1. It was kind of just run down and chuck up the first open look that you get at a 3, because you kind of got the sense that maybe they felt they wouldn't get another look, another clean look, so just chuck it up right away.
Yeah.
Which I thought, and they didn't hit all of those threes, obviously. So I think that put us in a hole, and in general had the team sort of playing on their heels, like not attacking the basket. Obviously OKC made adjustments defensively and sharpened up massively on the offensive end. I thought Shea, that was a magnum opus of a game from him. Like, he had all the shots, scored all the things, but also got everyone involved and made the right play. I forget, he ended up with 8 assists, I think, but he probably had 6 to 8 hockey assists where he had the pass that led to the pass that led to the bucket. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things to improve going into game 3. What did you see, Colson?
I was shocked and saddened by the lack of adjustments. I mean, at halftime we made adjustments in game 1, right? Like Miles Turner says, stop giving me a bounce pass into the paint because I can't catch it. There's too many hands. We're still throwing bounce passes. We're still throwing into traffic in game 2. I felt like one of the adjustments was don't pass as much. I felt like there was a lot more one-on-one stuff, which is weird. What makes us special is how much we pass. It's what wears teams down. It's what throws off the defenses, even the best defenses in the league. It's hot potato with this team, and we just didn't do it because we were afraid of their defense. The other thing, too, that Carlisle had said is stick with the game plan in game 1. We'll be able to come back. We're not going to turn it over this many times. That game plan was to shoot quick threes. But in that second half of game 1, those came out of an offense that was moving the ball. And we had open threes. Not this walking up and taking the first 3 we had that was guarded. The fact that we didn't spend a lot of time going, how do we beat this defense? And then all we added was a little bit of zone on the defensive end. It was incredibly frustrating. I thought in these first 3 series, we not only stole game 1 or took game 1, but we took game 2 because we made adjustments knowing what their adjustments were going to be. We knew they were going to put 2 bigs back in because their adjustment to us was to play small, and it did not work. So how were we not prepared for that? From beginning to end, I felt like this was a failure of imagination from the coaching staff, and I've not said that all playoffs long because they've been almost, unimpeachable here. They've been impeccable. They've been amazing. But I really felt that this was a failure of the coaching staff's imagination.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair critique. I think it was also that perhaps the game plan wasn't executed as the coaching staff wanted. I mean, I think one of the things I would have liked to have seen that we haven't really seen so far in this series is the Pacers playing with the type of pace that we saw in that Knicks series. Like, we're not getting up and down the floor at the rate that we were getting up and down the floor against New York. Now, granted, a lot of that is due to the fact that OKC is a much, much better transition defensive team than the Knicks.
Aren't they the best at transition D in the league? And then we're 2.
They are, yeah. Either we're 1 and they're 2, or the other way around. Yeah, but regardless, you still gotta, play with the style that got you where you are. And I think that the guys have gotten a little bit frustrated that, of the few times that they do run, OKC's getting back and they have to sort of back off and they can't quite do what they want. But I think that really they just need to, you can kind of tell those games when Halliburton, I think it starts with Halliburton, and then all the rest of the guys have that mentality of like, oh yeah, they just scored a bucket, whatever, let's just go. And he's running and catching the inbounds pass on the run and just going up the court or passing it up very quickly. And we've seen that very sparingly, I think, in the first 2 games. Even in, the second half of the first game where we outplayed them, I still don't think we're playing Pacers basketball necessarily. We were executing much better and playing much sharper than we did, obviously, in the first half of the game. And we made a bunch of threes, and that can mask a lot of deficiencies for sure. So I think terrible. I hope one of the focuses is trying to figure out how to just go, and ask questions later.
Let's say we weren't terrible shooting threes this game. It was 14 of 40. It's 35%. It's below where we have been this postseason. But I've seen worse shooting jobs out of this team.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, we're the best shooting team in the playoffs, and that's why we're here. I mean, we're not going to be able to beat this team shooting 35% from the range. It's just not, in the cards for us. You have to play with so much force and so much precision against their defense. I agree with you that instead we just took guarded threes and hope they went in. There's got to be a different plan here. When we don't get a fast break, there's normally so much action up top where we're passing it to one guy, and then there's a pick, and then there's a pass, and there's a pass. And there's 6 or 7 passes before anything happens because we're trying to scramble their defense. But they're so good at even stopping lateral passes up near the timeline that we're just kind of afraid to pass the ball. And we've got to find a way to do that.
Yeah, that pressure, that high pressure, Halliburton had a over and back and almost another one with, in a normal half-court situation where, he was that far away where, his one, half step backwards put his heel on the line, and it's a turnover for nothing. They don't to do anything for that.
Well, I mean, I feel like Carlisle is, a basketball genius. I'm sure there are ways to loosen that pressure. And I'm sure that that's what he's trying to figure out right now what's keeping up at night. But like, we've got to be able to figure out how to play our game a little bit, because we don't win this series without playing our game. Our game is what got us here, and we're not a very good one-on-one team. We don't have a LeBron James or a Shea to just take over a game. We've got to win this with team basketball, with passing and shooting. And if we can't pass the basketball and we can't shoot, this is going to be a very short series.
We've got a Siakam though.
Yeah, but you got to be able to get it to him without it just being stripped or taken. I mean, they're making it real tough on us to do anything we want to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. And I mean, I wonder, one of the areas that you could take advantage potentially of this OKC team, although it's a hard ask, is they're so concentrated on keeping their sort of shell and collapsing anytime the ball gets into the paint area, that forcing them to sort of have this instinct to defend the basket and then bring the ball back out and start doing that, back and forth stuff, maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And that one potential way to do that is to just run and get the ball down quickly and just sort of run towards the baseline, even if it's not towards a basket right away. At least you've got that defense sort of starting to move already, and that could potentially create some space. The hard thing is that lineup-wise, there's not a lot that Carlisle can do. The one wrinkle is potentially if Jarris Walker comes back, that he could plug in, and you could imagine that his length on defense especially could be a difference maker and create a few more turnovers and opportunities going forward. I mean, they only turned the ball over 13 times in that in game 2 and even fewer in game 1. So we're not getting as many of those easy bucket opportunities as we have been getting throughout these playoffs with our increased defensive pressure, I think. We're not getting those deflections. We're not getting, or at least the deflections that we're getting, we're not getting the benefit going our way. I think we're losing the 50-50 ball battles many of the times. They're much more active.
Well, there were
game 2,
there
much
were
more active
several
than us on the
times
glass.
that I screamed at the TV, "Get on the ground!" Like where we were just kind of like, the Thunder are on the ground for the ball and we're not. My biggest concern after the game was, I'm fine with losing to a better team, but I want to play well, and we played poorly on both sides of the ball. Like, we just did not bring our A game to this. You can't just steal one at their house and say that's good enough. You can't just give away games in the finals. And it felt like, we kind of were okay with taking our one, and that's not who we've been all playoffs.
Yeah, it was kind of like, in the first quarter, we even got up by like 4 points or something like that, and you almost sense the team sort of relax, like, oh, okay, like this is just a regular game, we'll just keep doing what we're doing and beat these guys. But the Pacers did not keep up their pressure, and OKC took it up a notch and just ran away with it. It was just like it escalated real quick.
Yeah, that first 10 minutes of that first quarter was really entertaining basketball. Both teams were playing really well. We were a little bit in the lead. I was loving it. I was like, I'd watch a whole game of this. And that last 2.5 minutes, we just crumbled and never recovered. They closed the quarter, and we didn't look like we had that gear that they had.
Pretty much. I mean, so the other thing is that our bench didn't play super well in this game. And you hope that those guys will play a little bit better at home. Obi Toppin had a super rough night. 1 of 8 from the floor. McConnell played quite well. Maybe you get a few more McConnell minutes out there, figure out a way to get McConnell and Halliburton and Nimhard maybe go super small at some points and see if that works with something. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Colson. I assume Carlisle and his entire staff have been poring over the tape relentlessly and figuring out some way to unlock that defense.
Yeah, I'm
At least
just
some wrinkle to make them adjust to your adjustment,
right. And I don't know enough about basketball Carlisle's forgot more about basketball tonight than I've ever known, but there's got to be some wrinkles on the screens, there's so much action off the ball for us all the time, and I guess they're taking it away. I don't know. What we do is scramble defenses. That's how we win. And we've not been able to scramble them at all. So, but, okay, all of that said, and I was very sad, I was very disappointed. We're 1-1. We took home court advantage. We're going back to the field house in the finals.
And we haven't played well yet.
Oh, no.
I don't even think we played that well in game 1.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah. We've not had a good game in this finals. Or even really a good quarter. You could say we played the last half of the fourth quarter in game 1 well. And that's it.
Yeah. I would say that.
So,
Yes.
Can we play well at home? It's hard to play in that building, It's hard to play in OKC. And we got one. So, can we come home? Can we be more comfortable? When I'm watching these games, I'm going, hey, if we play our game, we could beat this team. This is not a juggernaut that's unbeatable. I think we can get in these kids' head. They're kids, I think if these games are close down the stretch, all season long they've been blowing teams out. They've been winning by 30. You get this in a close game, and I think we can win these games. It's a matter of keeping it close. And just like in game 1, right? So, if we play our game at home, I'm not worried about them being the better team. I've just yet to see us play our game in this series. And maybe that's what they're doing defensively, or maybe that's where we are in our heads. I don't know.
Yeah. And we've seen throughout these playoffs and last year's playoffs that, after a bad game, when Halliburton gets roasted by the media for not being aggressive, he usually comes back and is very on top of his game. So I expect to see an aggressive version of him in game 3. I expect that Pacers crowd to be insane. This is a franchise that hasn't seen a home finals game for 25 years.
Yeah.
So you imagine all the greats will be in the building. Smits will be there.
Derek McKee.
Lancey Pants.
George Hill.
You think they'll bring out Larry Legend? Is Larry Legend gonna?
Seeing him.
I think that the team has had some home games where they seemed a bit nervous. I feel like they
don't want to let the fans down.
It's they know how excited and passionate the fans are, and when you're on the road, there's no expectations on you, and they know now that they've got home court, and really, of course, if they win the rest of their home games, then good to go. But I think that can have a adverse effect on your performance, and I think we've seen that some from them even this year, where they just kind of get off to some rough nights because of that. But let's just hope that the shots are falling early. Because once the party starts in there, when the the threes are going down,
Obi Toppin's dunking.
Yeah, Miles Turner has some that dunk he had last game was chef's kiss.
That's the main highlight they're showing for the Pacers on ESPN right now. That's just,
and it was a nasty dunk.
Yeah, it was.
But when that stuff happens at home, and the crowd gets going, threes are falling. Toppin's finishing the alley oops, and we're and playing good defense. You know, you get on the floor, the fans go crazy for that stuff. You guys all know what the Pacer fans are looking for, and when we play the game like that, then when we get rolling, then I think we can knock those games out. But it's a matter of getting that momentum, getting the fans in the game. Like I was at Game 6 and against the Knicks, and people were mental, like in a bad way, in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, they stood up the entire game.
Yeah, I mean they're hype, they're ready to go, and I think that the energy is going to be the same. It's just about the Pacers lending their doing their part of the equation too, which I know they're intending to, but once the fans and the team are on the same page, then they can beat anybody in the league.
Well, and Joe, I think that's my point. Like I think as a fan of the Pacers over the last 30 some odd years, like what I've enjoyed about this team, and I know there are exceptions, but most of the time the team is playing as well as it can, and it's coming against just a juggernaut. It's coming against a LeBron or a Jordan or a Shaq, and we've played as well as we can, and we're still going to lose. This, by all accounts, has been the greatest run in Pacers history, right? You could say that the Reggie team got to the finals, but not with this many magical game winners. Like, this has been absolutely incredible. And I really don't want our team to not play their best basketball now. If we play our best basketball and the Thunder are just better than us, that's something. But I've started to believe that this team at its best is the best team in the league. So let's play our best and let's win a championship. Like, that's on the table. All we have to do is play our best basketball. And I know their defense is going to make it really hard because they're historically good. I get that. But if we can play our game, I don't think anybody can beat us. And we've proved that to this point. The Reggie Miller teams couldn't play better than Shaq's Lakers. They couldn't play better than Michael Jordan's Bulls. The Hibbert Pacers couldn't play better than LeBron's, Miami. But this team has a chance. So I really hope we can find that power of friendship here in these last 5 games.
I agree with you. It's right there for the taking, And if you're going to be the best, you got to beat the best, So you got to know that they're going to be one of the better teams. I mean, they didn't get to the finals by accident, And so, yeah.
But I do think that's their weak spot, though, right? Like, they're just used to blowing teams out. And if we
their weak spot is that they're too good. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. And if we can put them in situations where they're not used to, which is, it being close. They have not lost back-to-back games all season long. Is that right? Or no, they're 7.
Is that OKC, right?
Yeah, they're 17-2, I guess, after a loss. And I think you heard the stat that we gave last week, which is we've not lost a game after losing by double figures since December 4th. So these teams are really good at bouncing back. If this holds true, we won the first game, and we would win the series if it goes 1-1, 1-1-1.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, that's right.
But I'd love to wrap this up in Indy instead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's get both of these, and then.
Yep. I do. I think the stat is that 80% of the winners of Game 3 win the series, but I think it's more than just the historical percentages here. Like, I think mentally, our team needs to go in and win this game. I think it's more important for us than it is for them to win this game.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think pressure's on us for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last thing I want to talk about here, we talked about Halliburton's aggressiveness. The read I have on it is that he's in this sort of like feeling out, wait and see kind of mode. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but that's what I kind of see out of him, is that he's, kind of just trying to facilitate, trying to get people involved, and that the plan is at the end. It's like, okay, if it's got to be me, I'll take care of it. But it's too late.
Yeah, so he scored 12 points in the fourth quarter or whatever, and it was while we were down 20.
Yeah. I agree with that, Joey. Like, I don't think my criticism is not that he didn't take enough shots in the first half. I mean, of course, I would love him to score more buckets, but I thought just generally he was not aggressive trying to get other guys involved. Like, he wasn't forcing the issue, he wasn't forcing the pace, and but again, that was true across the board. It wasn't that he was the only one that wasn't bringing it. Like, there, very few were bringing it.
Well, and when he scores 20, we're almost unbeatable. But you want him to be smart about it. You don't need him to be just jacking up shots. And I think he knows that. I mean, he's very patient.
That's just not who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
And when he is, it's usually because he's on a heater and he's at the logo, and that basket looks big sometimes, But I'm really hoping for a knockout game from Halliburton. Siakam has been, pretty much who Siakam has been, which is, for the most part, he's been steady as she goes, getting his things. He's a little bit of a downtick on the scoring. He would be able to score 30 or so against the Knicks. He's getting, closer to 20 in games 1 and 2, 15-20. But I want to get the ball moving. I think that the ball movement was certainly down. So Halliburton and Co need to be whipping that ball around, and with the adjustment where they can't play the exact same way that they did against the Knicks, because this defense is too handsy. They're poking stuff from behind. They're doing all sorts of things, to force the turnovers. Jason, I think you're right. We just can't go away from the way we played.
Yeah. And if the thing is, don't, be afraid of dribbling into traffic because they'll take it, doesn't mean we should just be passing around the perimeter and taking a contested three either. There's got to be some in between.
Yep. You know what? You know who doesn't have any fear about that? Benedict Mathurin. He will just crank it in. Maybe we can get a good Mathurin game.
We could use one for sure.
Right?
Because he is, he doesn't have that fear, for better or for worse, and sometimes that's exactly what the team needs is somebody who's will force the issue, because the team, sometimes we've been getting too passive, and often he will just bypass that.
Well, I sure hope that Wiggins doesn't hit another 4 3-pointers.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
So let's put that on the Pacer fans. Are you guys going to be at this game, or are you game 4?
Game 4. Joey's going to be there tomorrow night.
All right.
I was, and now I'm no longer.
Oh, no.
But I will be there.
What?
I will be there at game 4.
Okay. Well, we need to make sure that the fans keep Wiggins from shooting all those threes, or hitting all those threes. He can shoot as many as he wants.
All right. Anything you need to get off your chest, gentlemen?
This is absolutely incredible. We're breaking down finals games.
Yeah, it's like mid-June, and we're talking Pacers basketball.
Yeah.
This is all right.
Yeah, I did have a moment. I don't want to settle, but I was just thinking, even after losing game 2, that we had that 48-hour stretch. You start the season, and the world is your oyster as a fan. You can envision any possibility. And we basically were still in that state in the month of June for like a 48-hour period at a minimum. And that was awesome. You know? Like, that was a very awesome period of time. And I would like to get back there again after a win in game 3.
That's right.
And game 4.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Win in game 3, obviously, but would be would be massive.
This has been
Coulson-
nothing short of a miracle to get here, and what a delight.
Yeah. Yeah, we love rooting for this team, and no matter what happens, but still want the dub.
Let's go get it.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll be back with you soon as we can. Until next time, you can hit us up on social media. We're on Twitter at Undebeatables, Facebook.com/The Undebeatables. We're on the YouTubes. Look for The Undebeatables over there. Undebeatables.com. And there's also a contact form there where you can send us a message. And always email. Shout out at theundebeatables.com. Tell us what you're looking for in Game 3.
For the architect, Donnie Walsh, and our once and always Hall of Fame coach, Bobby Sick Leonard. Turn out the lights, the party's over.
All right. Let's do this, boys.
Yeah.
Let's go get him.